Hello and welcome back to my channel, Dr. Magnesium, with me, Dr. Lee Keegan. And today we're going to be doing another short video, which is going to be the third part in the UPF series, and it's going to be looking at the second why. So this one will be about why we choose to eat a diet which is so high in ultra-processed food. And I think there's multiple reasons for this, and we'll go through each one at a time, take each section one at a time. The first reason I would say is that they taste so good. Let's be honest, most people are driven to eat these products because they do taste good. They're high in sugar often. Some of them taste absolutely vile, and the longer that you're off them, they seem less appealing. But because we've been brought up on this diet, and most of us, our whole lives, we've grown up eating a high percentage of UPF, so eating UPFs as a treat, certainly. And that's why they've got that term comfort food, because they bring us comfort. They give us the high in sugar, they give us that short burst of energy that it reverts back to our primal days, where we would like to eat a energy source which gives us that initial burst so we can get away from danger. They also stimulate pleasure centers within the brain, so eating these products stimulates a release of certain chemicals in the brain that make us feel good. So looking back at the evidence, looking back at the previous videos, I think it's obvious that there's a drive within humans to eat these foods. Studies have shown that just eating UPFs makes you eat more calories, makes you eat more UPFs. So I think the reason that we eat them is because, firstly, they're good. Secondly, they're marketed so heavily towards us. The food industry spends billions of pounds, billions of dollars every year marketing these products at us, because they make a lot of money off them, as we've said in previous videos. So I think that kind of covers the initial drive to eat them, the reason why we feel compelled to eat them, and the pleasurable aspect of eating them. The second would be, I would say, cost. A lot of, if we go away from the comfort foods and we go more onto the cheaper kind of processed foods and the frozen meals and pre-prepared meals from supermarkets and other such outlets, there's definitely a cost element to that. You can feed a family for a lot cheaper if you buy these frozen meals, or if you buy these pre-prepared meals. It costs a lot less than buying the fresh ingredients, having the time to make the meals. As well as the cost implications, there's the time implications. People live busier lives. We don't get in at a reasonable time. People often finish work late. They rush in from work, pick up the kids. They just throw something in the oven or something in the microwave, and it's quick, it's convenient, it's cheap. If people are, in today's world that we live in, everybody's stretched financially with the cost of living crisis, the cost of energy. So there's definitely an understandable reason why people choose to eat them, for cost implications. Also, you've got, kind of tied into this reason, you've got the lack of skills. We're coming into the second and third generation of people who've had a high proportion of these kind of pre-prepared meals, and it's whether there's still that skill set there. It's whether you're getting them traditional cookery skills passed down from generation to generation. I think the longer that we go on eating these kind of convenience foods and pre-prepared foods, I think we're losing that skill that we once had to prepare fresh foods. We're losing the generational recipes that we would have had, and the tricks to making certain products. So I think that would cover that nicely. But the area I want to go into mostly in this video and cover in more depth is knowledge. I'd say there's a lack of knowledge, a lack of education around what an ultra-processed food is. It's complicated. It's difficult for medical professionals like myself to know what an ultra-processed food is often. So for a layperson with a limited understanding of metabolism and of chemicals and of the food industry in general, it's difficult. It's difficult to know what is UPF and what isn't UPF, and why things are UPF. So it really is complicated. I can understand why people kind of fall into the trap of eating foods that they don't even know are UPF. And I'm gonna use an example here as myself. So I'm a doctor. I'm a acute medical consultant. I've got an interest in food. I've always trained. I've been a quite successful amateur athlete when I was younger. I was a boxer, I was a soldier. So I've always had an interest in health and fitness and diet. Yet over the last 20 years, I seem to have just progressively put on more and more weight. I'd say every 7 years I've probably put on a stone in weight, to the point where I'd ballooned up to about 96 kilograms, so just under 15 stone, despite trying my best, despite trying every single diet that was out there. Intermittent fasted, I'd cut out all kinds of food groups, I'd cut down calories, I'd increased my training, and no matter what I tried, I always just seemed to put on weight. And it wasn't until I seriously started to look into this, and my wife got a job, and part of her job is to try and remove UPFs from schools. So she's working alongside the Welsh Government to try and take out those processed foods from the school meals within Wales. So she was doing a lot of research around it, and we started to look into it and break my diet down. And it was only then when I realised the amount of UPFs that I was actually eating. It was completely shocking. And for me, as somebody with a keen interest in food and a medical background, it was surprising that I did. It was, firstly, it was surprising I didn't know that, and secondly, it was surprising that I just had no idea about how much UPFs were hidden in food as well. So I brought me menu down. I looked at breakfast. So breakfast, I would be eating, say, a granola or something with a coffee, maybe even a bit of fruit. For lunch, I'd be going out. I'd be going to a nice cafe. I'd have a club sandwich or something, with side salad, a bottle of iced tea. Very middle class, and something of a doctor. Then I'd have probably a mini pack of Jaffa cakes or something in the afternoon to give me that little boost to get me through the afternoon, with a coffee. I'd go home, I'd have a freshly prepared meal from my wife for my evening meal. And then maybe for supper, I might have a bit more fruit, or I might have a couple of chocolate biscuits with a cup of coffee before bed, maybe even a piece of toast. And to me, I'd probably have snacks within that as well, maybe some nuts and maybe some fruit. And for me, I was thinking that's not too bad a diet. I couldn't understand why I was continuing to put on weight. I was training hard. I was eating this kind of diet. I was trying to avoid alcohol as much as I could, but obviously most weekends I would be drinking. And diet often goes to pot when you're drinking, as we all know. But separate video on that. But yeah, I just seemed to be stubbornly refusing to lose weight. And it wasn't until we broke it down and we looked more into it that I realised why it was. It was the granola, UPF. I would then be going for my sandwich. If you look at the sandwich, the bread would be UPF. The pre-cut chicken would be UPF. The bacon would be UPF. The margarine or spreadable butter on the bread would be UPF. The salad dressing would be UPF. My bottle of iced tea was UPF. My Jaffa cakes that I was eating for a snack in the afternoon was UPF. Even my wife, who's a really good cook, and she's been working in the food industry for 30 years, she was making food with stock pots, stock cubes, which UPF. My evening snacks, biscuits would be UPF. So when I broke it down, I was eating a diet with easily 60% UPF. Easily, comfortably 60% UPF. And this is me thinking I was actually eating a good diet. So if I can be so easily fooled into thinking that that's a good diet, with my background in health, fitness, and being a consultant doctor, somebody who's highly educated within this field, if it can fool me and my wife works with many chefs who've worked in the industry for 30 years, it's the exact same. People really don't realise the extent of UPFs within our diet, and I think that's what we need to address. That's the issue. I think Obviously there's other issues around this topic. We've got what we've said, it's pleasurable to eat UPFs, but I would say that's more comfort food. So we're looking at the snack side of it, the sweets, biscuits side of it. If you take that away from it, then you've got the education, you've got the cost implications, where people just find it more convenient financially, can find it more convenient time-wise. We've got the lack of knowledge in cooking, and the lack of that being passed down to the next generation. And we've got education, the lack of education. And I think we need to address these areas. And I think over the next few videos, I'll complete this series next with the damage that we're doing. I'll explain why we shouldn't eat UPFs, basically because the damage that they do to the body, the long-term effects and the long-term damage. But I think we need to get this message out there. I'm looking at maybe doing a book at the moment. I've written the first 5-6 chapters of a book on UPFs, and I think that's the direction I want to go in. I want to get the message out there. I'm going to get guests on who are more knowledgeable than myself on UPFs, and we're going to try and spread the word. We're going to try and get it out there, and tell you the reasons why we shouldn't be eating UPFs. And then I think later on we'll start to look at we'll address how you can have a life without UPFs, and the kind of after UPF life, how that looks. And I think I've gone on a lot longer than I wanted to here. Sorry, we're into like 10-11 minutes now, but so we'll end this video here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show it's the worst picture that's ever been taken of me. It's my most embarrassing picture, and when I got this photograph taken, it shocked me into doing something. It really did. And this has been the driving force behind why I've lost so much weight. I've lost 3 stone now, I think, just under 3 stone, and it for health reasons as well as aesthetic reasons, obviously. And it's this, I'm going to put this picture on the beginning of this video just to show people that it does work. Eating a diet which is full of whole foods, healthy foods, and avoiding these ultra processed foods works. You can lose weight, you can be healthy, you can regain confidence, and without having to cut anything out. And as I say, we'll go more into that in later videos. So I'd just like to end this video here because I've gone on a lot longer than I wanted to. But thank you all for watching. If you like these videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dr. Magnesium. Please share these videos and spread the message to your friend. We need to get the message out there. We need to let people know that there's an alternative to eating this food, and there's a healthier way that we can all live. Okay, thank you again for watching, and I'll hopefully see you all soon. Bye.